You're listening to She's the Business podcast. These co-founders narrowed down their huge prospective market into 3 ideal customers and grew their profit and revenue by over 500% in under 6 months. So stay tuned to find out exactly how they did it. Hi, I'm your host, Jessica Osborne, and in my 23 years of business and marketing, I've built many brands to become multi-billion-dollar companies. And just in the last 10 years, I've built 2 online businesses of my own from my dining room table with 2 little babies running around at my feet. I've made it my mission to inspire you to get out of your own way and become the successful business owner who's living the lifestyle you really desire without all the hustle. This is She's the Business podcast, made by women for women. This is your weekly dose of motivation and inspiration. Just imagine if you knew that defining a specific niche or getting your ideal customer really, really well defined would result in 500% increase in your revenue or profit. That would make the whole process a whole lot easier, wouldn't it? Well, today I'm bringing you an interview with my clients, Phan and Natalie of Get Your Future Together. These ladies are co-founders. They're occupational therapists, and they were struggling with their business. They've been trying for a year to really get it off the ground. But we found out that they were trying to help so many people. There were just so many people they could help, and they'd felt that that was their best bet with marketing, was to try to attract anyone who they could help. But as they found out that defining a specific ideal customer and really getting their niche aligned and the right pricing and packaging for that niche, it actually results in much faster success and growth. So you're going to learn all about how they did it and some really open, honest discussion about the barriers and blocks that they felt in the process of defining their niche and narrowing down their ideal customers. So without further ado, let me play the interview for you.
Hi, I'm Jessica Osborne, and I'm here with Phan and Natalie from Get Your Future Together, otherwise known as GIFT or DYFT. These 2 ladies are occupational therapists from Melbourne. They had a vision to start a business together, really wanting to use their professional skills in a private setting where they could help people change their lives for the better. When we first met, they had been working on their business for about a year, but finding it hard to establish themselves and just didn't know what to try next to get their business happening. After a few short months of coaching, really, it was a very short time, they had transformed their business with regular inquiries and, more importantly, turning the majority of those inquiries into paying customers. And it saw their schedule get fully booked, and in fact so fully booked that we had to postpone our last coaching session because they were so busy with client work, which was amazing. They had actually achieved an increase of 500%, we think around about that, 500 to 600% it is in revenue, and were actually making a profit and now able to pay themselves a salary, whereas before they were sort of just covering their expenses. So as you can see, that's a huge transformation to achieve in just 3 to 4 months of coaching. And we're going to talk to them all about how they did it. So I'm sure you can't wait to hear all the details. First, I'll get Phan and Natalie to introduce themselves and tell us a bit more about their business, you know, who they help and how they do it. So over to you guys.
Okay. Thanks, Jess. So I'm Phan, I guess, you know, Natalie and I have been sort of working away at our business for a little while now, and you know, I guess the kind of work that we do is we really enable ordinary people to do extraordinary things, and you know, our journey has been knowing that we have something really valuable to offer in terms of a service to people. But, you know, I think we just couldn't figure out who really needed this to start with. And I think through this process, we really were able to narrow down, I guess, some of the people that really need us. And, you know, I guess some of those groups of people are really, I guess, people with disabilities and their families who are really requiring that kind of extra coaching support to really see and transform what's possible in their lives, as well as people kind of in their sort of mid-careers who are really, you know, I feel a bit burnt out. I feel a bit like I'm really struggling to juggle everything that I've got in life. Might have a family, I might not, but is this all there is? And so, you know, I don't think that's an uncommon thing for people to come to. And so I think just being able to really understand who we're for has been like an amazing, I think, thing for us to be able to get to. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Hi, I'm Nat. Hey, Catherine's pretty much said exactly what our business is about. And we sort of got to this point. We worked together previously, but had sort of visions of providing a service that really enabled people to reach their potential. And that sounds a little bit cheesy, but I guess in terms of our backgrounds, we work a lot with understanding people, where they've come from, who they are, what they're doing currently, and trying to understand what their strengths are and identify then the areas around what needs development. So, you know, as Catherine mentioned, we do some work. We do work quite broadly with different groups of people, but yeah, a lot of it is really just understanding context and helping people reach their goals. So
that's amazing. And what made you decide to start a business as opposed to working in your profession in a job, or continue working, because were already working, obviously, but what made you decide to go down the business path?
I think we saw a gap in the market in terms of what we were hoping to, in terms of the kind of service that we were trying to provide as occupational therapists. It can be quite easy for us to be pigeonholed in a particular way and for people to only see us doing certain kinds of roles. And we really wanted the opportunity to kind of showcase the broad range of skills that we have around therapy and counselling and coaching, and how the kind of frameworks and theories that we use in our practice can be applied across the board in all areas of your life. So,
that's amazing. And so tell me about, in your first year, you sort of got this idea, you had this vision, and you knew that you could get out there and you could really help these people to go from, you know, their lives and overcome those obstacles that were in their way, whether it was just, you know, complete burnout, or they didn't know what to do with their career, or if they were, you know, had a disability and just needed some practical life skills to help them to live, you know, their potential and their life. So that sounds amazing, but tell me what you struggled with in that first year. What was the hardest thing in getting your business up and running?
I mean, Natalie might think differently about this, but I think we were really focused on what we could do, and we actually didn't have a great deal of intimacy with who needed us. So I think in that first year, that was really, I think for us to establish what we were and what we could do and where we saw the outcomes for what we could do, trying to think about that outside of the work that we had traditionally come from. That took quite a long time to even get to that point, to get ourselves out of health, but use our health background to think about not just managing people's ill health, but once you get to a point where you can manage your health, what do you want to do? What does health afford you? You know, what do you want to see happen? How do you make that come to life? And I think for us, you know, we were you know, we all become a bit institutionalized, I think, when we work in organizations, and when you start your own business, you have to figure out how to uninstitutionalize yourself. So I think we actually spent a lot of that first period of time doing that work for ourselves, but then recognizing that we didn't know as a business how to speak to our people, and we didn't really know our people as well as we should. So yeah, I think.
Is that when you got in contact with me, when you kind of realized that, you know, you'd started to realize that you didn't know who you were trying to talk to? Is that what happened?
I think so.
Because that's definitely one of the, I mean, obviously that's where I start off all of the time anyway. I think anytime that business is not working, and especially the marketing, that generally means that marketing's not working, it does come down to that core strategy of knowing your market niche, like what is your specialization, so how you're communicating what you do, and then also who you're communicating it to, because, you know, it changes different people's perspectives. It depends on who you're wanting to talk to. And that was definitely what we did in the beginning. We spent quite a few weeks working on that. So talk me through the process for you guys from your perspective on identifying, I guess, you know, really what it is, your specialization, like what you do and how you're describing it, and then the process of finding your ideal customer avatars and building those, because you ended up with 3, which is a little bit unusual. So tell us a bit about that.
So I think when we came to you, Jess, we had sort of this one kind of idea of who our customer was, but not realizing that one customer could be then segmented into smaller ones and more specific ones. So that's, I guess, for us, that was the first learning point. It was that the part of the reason why we weren't growing the business or kind of hitting the mark the way that we wanted to was that our net was cast far too wide, and with that we were trying to please everyone without really knowing what anyone actually wanted from us in the first place. So, you know, that first exercise of, you know, thinking about actually who are we trying to serve within this broad group, and sort of building those avatars around, you know, age, income, you know, backstories, current needs was really important to us, because we started to then think about, actually the customers that we were seeing at that time all started to look a certain way, or could be grouped in a certain way, and from that, you know, thinking about, okay, well, if we have this particular group, is there any other very specific group that we would like to serve, you know, and building something around that as well. I don't know if that answered the question. Yeah,
it did, definitely. And did you think it was hard to narrow down your market? Like, did you find that difficult to, like, did you have any fears that you were going to be leaving potential people out, or, you know?
I think, and I'm sure Catherine can add to this as well. I think there was definitely the fear of leaving people out, or not being able to, not targeting people. And I think that feeling, for us originally, again, around, you know, coming from health, but stepping out of health, but applying health to this business was a really tricky process for us, because we invested quite a lot of time in thinking about language, how to use language to talk about health things, but in a kind of a friendlier, more acceptable kind of way that, you know, that would appeal to everyone. So part of the letting go process for us was kind of going, okay, we've invested this time and effort, but actually we've got to accept that we might need to make changes to it in order to actually appeal to the group that we want to. So that was kind of the first step. And then it was the next step of going, okay, but if we do this, we might exclude people. But then it was also then the acceptance of, actually, those people were probably never for us. They were never probably our customers to begin with. So it was quite a back and forth kind of process of going, okay, there's this change and we need to accept that, but actually it's a good thing for us by narrowing the market down. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'd agree with all of that. And I think, yeah, I think it was, I think it was really hard to let go of, like, to have targeted customers. We're so used to being inclusive around providing services to everyone in health.
Yes.
And so it felt quite counterintuitive, but then it actually became it was really good to have that, I guess, to have your guidance, Jess, and also the frameworks to know how to do this, because I think for us, we really needed to follow that to kind of say, oh, okay, so there's a whole group of people who really need a service like this that doesn't exist. Why we actually need to talk to this group. And it came out to be kind of a really important purpose for us in our just in how we approach what we do. Is this is maybe some of the hardest to work with groups that are getting missed, so that makes sense for us.
Yeah. And there was definitely a change for you in just that transition from being the health worker, like you say, working with everybody, to then suddenly saying we're going to specifically target these people, and then actually adjusting, your language and your offering to really talk to them and to help them see that you could help them. Reaching out to draw them in, as opposed to sitting back and waiting for them necessarily to sort of fall in your lap and figure out for themselves that they needed you. Which is amazing. And so that was I think a big process, but you did really well in coming up with 3 different avatars, which, I guess usually when a business is really new, I normally recommend that you start with 1, because it just means that you can focus all of your messaging on the one person. But we were like, no, there's these 3 and they definitely all need to be there, and they are distinct. So there was that challenge in, okay, then how are we going to talk to all 3 of these, but also talk to each one individually? And you did really well through that process, I remember. Tell us a bit about, what you did to create that individualized approach for them all, but then also how you brought it all together to talk to them as one.
I mean, I think that's it's funny that you bring that up, because actually, since kind of working with you as well, we've come more around to your idea that there's less avatars. So even at this point, I mean, this is just, how we've really found ourselves in business, is constant learning and iteration. So, I think we're closer to even 2 at the moment, and potentially even 1. So, and I think for us, understanding our vision and understanding why we do what we do spoke to all 3 groups, but all 3 groups had really different needs. Were in different life circumstances, needed different types of skills from us. So ranging from quite functional approaches as kind of more traditional OTs, to systems-based approaches, so that people could have a network and a way to live their lives. But actually we worked through their systems, or even coaching and being more future-focused. Different groups needed really different things from us. And so even in being able to differentiate those different groups, what needed to draw or bind them together was really the vision that actually this is kind of for everybody, but you need something very specific. So learning, I think, when to be more generalised and and clear around the purpose, and then being more specific and targeted and specialist in those areas. I think that's something would you say, Nat, that I think that was something that we learned, but we're still constantly honing.
No, I think so. I think it was a really good process for us to kind of have developed those 3 groups and those 3 avatars and what the service provision would be. And as the months have kind of progressed since doing that work, you know, it's not so much that by sort of slowly narrowing it back down and going back to your original sort of plan for us, Jess, it's kind of like, okay, actually at this stage of our growth, we want to focus a little bit more on a particular group. And so it's kind of like that, those 2 other groups potentially, we'll say they're on the back burner for now, but all the work is still already there for us for when we're ready to bring them back in again and speak to them directly. But no, it was a really good process because I think, again, you know, it was a really hard process to not be inclusive of of everyone in the service. And so even bringing it down to those 3 groups and sort of battling with you a little bit around, no, we really, okay, no, 1's not enough. No, actually 2's not enough. We definitely have to have at least 3 groups. You know, it was a process because we were then still pigeonholing people into these broad groups and kind of going, well, we do see the need. We're not disputing that part of it, but it's actually being clearer around A is different to B is different to C, and we acknowledge that, you know. So no, it was a really helpful process.
Yeah, and I think as well, now that you are doing it, and you can see that even if you just focus on that one avatar and that one group, that you've got a lot of depth in the market. You know, you could probably have your business and grow it and scale it because there would be so much work out there, even with just that one. And so probably part of that original fear, I think, always comes from, well, we, you know, if we go too narrow, we're not going to have enough work and the business won't work and we're leaving money on the table. But actually by allowing yourselves to be really specific, it means you can focus all your energy on that one group and really attract them to you because you're, you know, suddenly the obvious choice for them. And that means that, you know, and the market's always bigger than what you think. I think that it's so common to be thinking, oh, if I only have one, then there's not going to be enough people in it. But actually, you know, you have to think, well, how many people can we realistically service anyway? You know, and I think that the numbers will be so far apart. You think, well, okay, even if we're working at full capacity or more, we're still only going to be taking a tiny part of the market. Like it's, you know, that's, I think, always a reality. It's just hard because our brains kick in and seem to tell us, no, going with only one will make it smaller. And, you know, we do think that. So that's really good. I'm so excited and thrilled to hear that you have come down to narrowing it down to one, because I mean, now you'd be looking at, you know how to reach out to them, you know your message, and you're only saying one message. So you're not kind of, I remember that was a struggle for you with, well, what do we do on social media? How do we talk about it? Because we've got 3 different groups, and if we're saying one thing that might not appeal to the other ones, and, you know, sort of trying to help you find that happy medium of like, well, look at the bits that intersect all of them and maybe create your content around those. But now that you've got one, you can actually just focus all your energy on that, go into their fears, their pains, their goals, you know, give them the content that is 100% relevant all of the time. And that's going to have such a bigger impact for you in your reach. So well done. That is fantastic. And so that's obviously then also the knock-on effect of that would be simplifying your business and your service model. You know, you'd be able to be a lot more streamlined and efficient because you're offering, you know, you're focusing on that one service area. So tell me about your packages. Do you have multiple packages for this one avatar, or is there one core package for them?
I think we have multiple packages. But and I think that's really, you know, that's just, you know, being able to kind of focus on sort of one has really meant that we can segment this group even further. And recognizing the segmentation means, you know, we have something, you know, more tailored for each group. So that's allowed us to achieve in some ways what we wanted, was the kind of the person-centered approach, the tailored bespoke approach. And I think we were trying to bespoke everything for everyone.
Yeah.
And now we're bespoking something for one group, recognising there's so many different types of needs out there, even within this one group. So I think that's really right around the depth of the market.
Yes.
I definitely, Nat, you were probably more insightful than me, but I definitely kind of didn't recognise the depth and the opportunity for us to practice in the breadth of what we knew was possible. And it was matching those two things together.
That alignment, absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you're growing a reputation, that people they know who to call, like they've, got a client or they know somebody, so you might get referrals from other people, and they're like, I know exactly who you need to call because these are the ladies who do it. Because you're so specialised.
I think we'll get there. I think we're slowly building a reputation, which is great.
Yeah.
But what that process, the streamlining process, has meant for us is being very clear around the stakeholders that we need to sort of get out, meet, talk to, and let them know that we are here, and this is the service that we provide. And that's also meant, the knock-on effect of that is that, we are more efficient with our time. We're not trying to knock on the doors of just anyone and everyone who will give us 5 minutes of their time. It's much more specific around these are the people, these are the groups, and within those groups, these are the subgroups that we need to really, get in front of and let them know that we're here. And, and hopefully from that point on, that's when the referral stuff, picks up and does it what we want it to do. So,
Fantastic. You've been telling me that I think you guys through the process decided to do your own copywriting. So I'm just now backtracking a little bit, and then we'll come forward into, I guess, your sales and the referrals that have been happening or people finding you. But you worked on your own copy rather than outsourcing it, and we did have a while, like a few sessions and back and forward in between sessions and lots of edits on documents, getting your messaging down pat. But I think, for me, that was one of your real triumphs, was that we sort of massaged how you were talking and removed a bit of the practitioner speak into normal language speak, and you updated your website. And then, one of the first check-ins that I had with you after we'd finished, you were like, there's people coming to our website and actually booking a call with us without even being referred, without contacting us beforehand. Like they were understanding what you were saying, thinking, yes, this is for me, and then booking a call, which is 100% proof of, well done, you hit the nail on the head with what you did. So it was fantastic. So tell us a bit about, is that still happening? Like, you're getting people organically finding you and coming in to have those sales calls. So tell us a bit about, I guess, your funnel, like your sales conversion and what's happening there.
I'll go.
That was a long question.
I'm just trying to think at the same time, where did we start? I think the copy was really tricky for us because we felt like the language needed to be so specific, and there was a lot of things that we wanted to say, but not necessarily knowing. So that was a really good process to kind of have that back and forth with you, because I speak for myself. I'm so used to speaking kind of health language that, anything I would write would just be, would sound like a report. And that obviously wasn't going to work for a website. So it was a really good process to kind of go, how do we summarize what we want to say? What's the kind of appropriate language to use for the audience? And then also how to display it in a way that's actually going to capture their attention, because, I think one of the biggest things that you said to us was, the way that we consume information online and through websites change. We've gone from sort of a period where people have like a 3-second kind of, focus on it, they just want to see something bold and sharp on a screen, to, potentially now where people are more willing to kind of scroll through a page and kind of explore further. So that was a tricky process for us, I think, to kind of let go of what we thought people might want, and also potentially what our own preferences were as well. We definitely, on finishing the website, we definitely did see that conversion of people coming to the website, and we were constantly on like Google Analytics and stuff like that, kind of going, oh, we've got people, there's random people looking at us. What are they looking at? So that was really exciting, because it felt like we weren't getting those kind of conversions to begin with, and not because it was necessarily a bad, first go at a website prior to sort of doing work with you, but it was more like it probably just wasn't hitting the mark in the way that we wanted it to. And that call to action part for us that we didn't have previously was actually really important. We were betting on people, going to our contact page, looking for our number, and then calling us. And actually that's not necessarily how people do it. They want the button potentially on the page, and they want to go straight to the calendar, and they want to, be able to click the button. And so it was those types of things that was so foreign to us, that were really important in the end.
Yeah, definitely. Having that customer centric approach, and like you say, there's just so much that you don't know especially when it comes to websites and usability, the function of the layout, and how a layout change or tweak, and even just how you're displaying the text can make a huge difference in the conversion, just from making it easier for people to consume the information, to go, yes, this is what I want, and yes, definitely the call to actions, having them there, that someone is able to take action right then and there when they're like, that sounds fantastic, book themselves in without having to, it can be a bit scary, I guess, to pick up a phone to someone you don't know and have a conversation, but booking in the time, it puts it in the calendar, you're kind of committed to it, and then when it happens, it's a lot easier. So that's excellent to hear. And so, so you're getting people coming to the site, browsing, booking a time with you, which is to have an initial chat. And then, so tell us about your sort of sales conversions from there. So you're having a talk to people on the phone, and then signing them up as a customer from that phone call?
We will soon have another iteration of our website, but I think for sure we had enough really important information on our website that people could identify themselves in order to even book in for like a chat with us. And once they kind of talk to us, we're kind of an easy sell, I think, in terms of, I think if you've made it to the phone call, you want to make sure that the person on the other end is, can be trusted, can do what they say they can do, all of that. And so by the time they sort of reached us on the phone, it was really to confirm that we are what we said we were. So it wasn't like, whereas previously it was so much of a sell on the phone if people made it to us, but also because we hadn't been really clear on who our customer was, we were trying to crazily figure out who they were in speaking to them in half an hour over the phone. And so the sale actually became a lot harder because we couldn't identify clearly who the customer was. We weren't really clear about what we could deliver to what type of person. And so by the time it was quite a difficult process to make the sale. And so like changing the website and having a call to action and making it really easy for people to get in contact with us. I think that just changed a lot for us. It just meant that we weren't, I guess, expending energy and becoming demoralised, I think, by making a sale of, just making the sale. Yeah.
That is such an amazing change and insight that, you know, just even being able to present that information clearly, that people can understand it, they can understand what it is that you do, how it's going to work, and then they get on the call with you, and it's just that confirmation of like, great, this person is nice, I like to talk to them, I'm happy with it all, let's do it. You know, that's really changed your life in terms of how that sale was happening. So that's amazing. And so tell us a few of the numbers now. We want to hear about so before we were chatting just before we got on this call, and you know, you were saying that before you'd started coaching, you were kind of just making enough to cover your business expenses. But you know, once you had the website live, so and you were back out doing your business again, it's just changed dramatically from that. So give us a few of those examples of the change that you've had.
Oh, you go.
So it's because it's just the two of us at the moment. We're probably at maybe 60% capacity at the moment. With, you know, because we also had to leave. We're needing to leave a bit of room to continue to actually work on the business, not just be in it. And we probably only realised more recently that we're actually a startup. So. Maybe we should have known before we started, but anyways, we know now. So we're at kind of 60% capacity, and really nailing down our service delivery and nailing down our language, and really focusing in on, I think, getting to where you wanted us to get to in our time together, but it's taken us a few more months than that. So actually being able to bed down some of the automation of what we do, because we are small, as well as, you know, getting out and being known and being clear about what we are known for. So, you know, I think probably by the end of the year, we think that we'll be, you know, much closer once we've done the big chunk of the business development work. We will be, you know, pretty close to kind of 80% or so, and then potentially, you know, even looking to take on staff. Excellent. So it's been a massive 6 months.
Yeah.
But fantastic. I mean, I think it's all, we really, we put, I think it was really hard for us to go through the coaching process, but I think if we hadn't have gone through the process and really, you know, I think we really struggled with it, to be honest. I don't think we would have been able to see ourselves grow. And so that's, I think that's really been kind of, our journey at the moment is, you know, that's our capacity, but in knowing when to go and when to consolidate, I think that allows us to continue to grow. Yeah.
And you, just in terms of some of your numbers and your revenue, so you had been sort of earning enough to cover expenses, but then you were saying that now you're at least 500% increase on that, probably more like 600 if you got the figures out, and you're paying yourselves decent salaries where you had been not paying yourselves anything, I guess, previously. So it was sort of zero profit to now you're profitable and it's a viable business, and there's only growth ahead, which is fantastic. And booking, constant bookings, and you've been, even in the last few months with all the craziness going on, your business is still, you know, you're going along and you've still got clients coming to you. Is that right? That's amazing. So what do you think your biggest kind of aha moment has been during, you know, if we reflect on the work that you've done and the transformation that you've had, you know, what do you think? I know it's a very big vision question, but is there something that you say that was the absolute key to your transformation?
I think for me, I think the customer segmentation was the big turning point. The first of the bigger turning points for us. It gave us a better opportunity to not just think about the customer, but also think about what kind of service we were and what we wanted to provide. So, you know, I think, I don't know, Catherine, you might come from a different angle. But, you know, I think when we started the business, we were thinking, you know, yeah, we wanted to provide this service and it might look like this. And that might be more around like a private practice kind of model. And so we only knew then how to think about the business under that kind of umbrella. But when we started thinking about, you know, the segmentation and kind of going, oh, actually, and packages, I think that was the other one. It was kind of like, actually, we kind of need to wrap things up in a way so that people understand it's not, you know, because often one, it's about the sell, and those kinds of terms really jarred with us in the beginning because it's quite counterintuitive to health. But, you know, even thinking about those kind of concepts and going, actually, you know, this is a service industry that we're entering, a different kind of service industry that we're entering, you know, that we do need to think about and wrap things up in a certain way so that people understand what we're trying to do and provide. And that there are these groups that, you know, fit into this little box that we're creating. That was huge, because that also then allowed us to go, okay, well, actually the first version of what we thought this business could be was actually not it, and we need to shift gears and think about this bigger, you know. And that was quite scary and exciting, because suddenly we were like, what is this, you know, could this be, you know. So it left a lot of room for like growth moving forward, you know. So I think
that was actually, you guys did some huge big changes when I think about it, because there was the you know, redefining of your customer. Then with the packages, you've gone from, you know, basically I said, what are your packages or what are your pricing? And you just had an hourly rate. And I was like, okay, then people, all they're thinking about is that it's just an hourly rate. But I was like, what about all the other value that you're providing and all these, you know, supporting materials and documents and frameworks and everything that you were using? I was like, no one's valuing any of that. They're just looking at you as an hourly rate. And so, you know, that definitely was quite a big change for you, wasn't it, in coming up with packages and sort of really working out the value of everything that you're providing in that, and that it's not just about the actual hours spent talking to your client, but it's all the work that you're doing in between as well to help them. And, you know, the way that you're pricing, and then obviously the writing of the messaging. So you had a huge time of, I guess, big changes for you, which is amazing. But yes, I think that's such a great story. And then to see straight away that change of, you know, once you got your new messaging out there and you had your packages and it was clear about what you were offering and who to, that you suddenly went from, you know, really struggling to get those customers on board in the first place to, you know, being so busy and to have, you know, a 500% increase in your revenue is amazing. And I'm sure that that's about to go up. So tell us what's next for Gift. What have you got in store?
I guess we just need to, you know, I guess what we're going to be doing is, you know, now that we've kind of identified our customer segments and stakeholders, we'll be getting out there and we'll be redoing our website. We might actually get someone to help us with the copywriting, because we're ready. But yeah, I think for us now, we're ready to, we're ready to hit the ground like properly. And who even knows what's possible. And I think, you know, what Nat said just before, they were massive changes for us, but the process itself allowed us to move from being practitioners to recognising we're actually business owners and we're actually looking to grow a business and the value that people who are our customers can get from what we do. And so that was a massive shift for us. Massive. Yeah,
amazing. I think that you know, and you say now you're ready to do these things, and I think that all of that is really part of your journey and part of your growth, and that you needed to go through this time and to take on these changes, because it has been such a big change in I guess how you previously had thought about what you do and even thought about a business to quite a different vision of a business. And that's not something that can really happen overnight. Like, it does take time. So it's amazing to hear that you guys are in this place where you've got a vision, you've got plans, you're looking forward, you've done all this groundwork, and now you really understand the value of it, and you're refining it down more and learning. As you say, it's always a continual learning process. So that's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for taking the time out with us today. It's been a really, really interesting chat. I've even learnt some things that I didn't know. So thank you.
Thank you so much for your it was so amazing to meet you at the time that we did. So really just appreciate your work, and really helped us significantly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It really was kind of our first step into thinking about our business as a business. And so it was really nice having you on board to kind of hold our hand through that process and kind of, very gently introduce us to these kind of things that we, like you said before, like, you don't know what you don't know. And, we thought we knew something. It was clear that we didn't. So you were absolutely the right person to, have on board, like walking us through that process. So it was really, really great.
Fantastic. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate those lovely words, and I appreciate your time here today. And if anybody wanted to find out a bit more about what you do in your business, do you want to share, your website or how they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So our website is www.gyft.online. Very short and sweet.
Excellent.
You can also find our contact details on there. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I will hopefully talk to you guys soon.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, Jess. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Do you know what the number one challenge reported by the women joining my Facebook community, My Tribe, said that they were struggling with their marketing in 2021, and in fact, even in 2020 as well? And that was exactly how they should reach their ideal client. How do they even get in front of them in order to build their audience in the first place? That was it. And it wasn't a pick and mix. I didn't give them that answer. It was a free text question. So they could write in there anything they wanted at all. And the number of times that I saw somebody say, how to create awareness, how to get in front of my ideal client and build my audience. So many people just challenged by it. And why is that when there's such an abundance of ways that we can get in front of the ideal client? And I think it's probably that is exactly it. It's so overwhelming, isn't it? What should you do? What should you choose? What are the best ways? Whatever it is that you're doing right now might not be working. And I think it's a great time to sit back, reflect, and figure out what's the right way for you to do it. What are the ways that you're going to reach your prospective clients in 2022? So if that sounds like you, if that might have been what you wrote down in the questions on what is your biggest challenge with your marketing currently, then you're going to absolutely love the new freebie that I've just put together for you. It's called 12 Brilliant Ways to Reach Your Ideal Client. And in it, I share with you the 12 top ways that you could use in your marketing plan this year to reach a bigger, broader audience in order to attract those ideal clients in to your inner circle, into your, really well-defined audience and become real leads for you. So if you'd like to get your hands on this brand new freebie, then all you need to do is go to jessicaosborne.com/12 ways. So it's 12 ways. Very easy. You can download it there, and this is a little bit of great resource for your planning, for the planning of the new year. See what you're going to change up. What is it that you maybe haven't been doing that you could be doing? And what are those things that you've been doing and they're not very effective, and maybe you're going to drop them out of your plan this year? So please head over, grab the freebie. If you want the link, that it's in the show notes, and let's get you moving on up, having more success with your marketing in 2022.